Welcome to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. I'm your host, Shannon Ables. And whether you're listening on your commute, exercising, working in the garden, or sitting down with a hot cup of tea or a café au lait, thank you for tuning in. Let's get started. Welcome to the 247th episode of the Simple Sophisticate. Today, we're talking about style, and I'm excited for our guest to be on the show today because she is someone who if you're looking for a guide, looking for an expert in the field of styling, can work with you. Whether you live in the Portland area where she is located or up and down the West Coast or anywhere, she does in-person but also online consultations. And today she's going to walk us through the whole process, help you to understand exactly what this entails, because it's so much more than just what clothes should I wear. And I think you'll learn very quickly that Scarlet Chamberlin, my guest today, knows a thing or two about the power of elevating our lives as we evolve through our journey and really tap into who we truly can become. Now, in our conversation, she's going to share with us where it all began and how her mother played an inspiring role in the career choice she decided to make. We'll go to Paris for a moment, as she went to Paris this last summer, as well as she's going to share with us some designers you may or may not know of, but you'll definitely want to check out once you understand her approach to style. Now, I'll let our conversation share all the details, but again, you can always find all the information on the show notes, thesimplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast 247, to learn even more about Portland stylist Scarlet Chamberlin. Here is our conversation. My guest today has styled clients who have walked the red carpets at the Golden Globes and the Academy Awards. Founder and Portland, Oregon-based stylist Scarlet Chamberlin brings a wealth of knowledge when it comes to creating her clients' outfits and wardrobes and elevates their clothing selection so that it aligns with their signature style. I have been looking forward to having her on the show and talking about not only clothes, but learning how to make the most of our sartorial choices, not only for our overall budget, but for the life we most enjoy living. Welcome to the Simple Sophisticate, Scarlet.
Thank you so much, Shannon.
I am so excited, like I said, to have you on. But first, I'd like to begin with your story and where you first fell in love with fashion and styling and discovered you had the talent, because you clearly have an eye putting together outfits. Where did your story begin for this?
So styling didn't come first. Jewelry did. When I was about 13, I became obsessed with gemstones, and I taught myself how to make jewelry. And my mom was a buyer. She was a fashion buyer. So I was surrounded by clothes growing up. And then she passed away. And my father let all of her beautiful treasures go. And we moved across the country. So I made jewelry that reminded me of her. And I thought, well, this is something that I could do that's related to fashion and related to her that I can do with my own hands. And I didn't even think about any other jobs or roles that I could pursue in fashion, because I kind of thought the only thing out there was being a model, and I knew I didn't want to do that. So I started making jewelry and selling it to local boutiques here in Portland when I was 13. And I just would trot down to Northwest 23rd with my bag of designs and talk to the boutique owners. It was great. And I got to be in these boutiques surrounded by this beauty. I couldn't afford it, and it probably didn't fit me. And I was, too young anyway, but I got to be around it again. And that was really, really fun.
So it began with jewelry, and you clearly are able to have an eye for the aesthetics of what works. When did it translate into clothing?
So during high school, I was dressing all my friends, but again, I didn't even know what a stylist was. And then I I got to college kind of doing the same thing. I was on a basketball team there, and none of my friends really were into fashion necessarily, but I would just kind of dress them up because it was fun for me. And then I pursued massage therapy as a job, and developed this customer base, mostly of women, who were, trying to kind of have a very positive relationship with their body. I was working with mostly pregnant women and attending births and doing all these things. And it was through that I kind of came back to jewelry, because we need talismans that remind us of who we are. And jewelry was something that I could do. And it was really like, the pieces I was making were really about their stories, my clients' stories. And I ended up taking jewelry on a national level, and I was making jewelry for a few celebrities, many divas here in Portland who are very talented singers and performers. And I ended up just in women's closets, because it was like I was making these really big pieces where they would fall in love with them, but they wouldn't know necessarily how to wear them. And so I'd say, just let me come over. And it was through that process of like being in people's homes and realizing how overwhelming their closets could be, and that I could help them kind of see through all the clutter and really see themselves as we removed what they didn't need and dressed them in outfits that made them go, oh my God, yes. And that's when I kind of was like, oh, there's a process here and people really value it. And I'm good at this. So let's go for it.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, you founded your company in 2010. So you've been at this for almost 10 years and you are doing very well because you've been recognized by Portland's Fashion and Style as being the top stylist in Portland in 2016. Portland Business Journal named you or nominated you as one of the top 40 under 40. So you have figured out how to get your business to be what you want it to be, but also to be successful and recognized. Before I dive into the clothing and sartorial conversation that I want to have, I have a lot of listeners who are either small business owners or entrepreneurs or doing a side hustle and considering a business. Are there any, when you stepped into this business, were there anything with regards to strengths that you're like, these were strengths that definitely helped me out? And then what were some things that you realized, okay, if I would have had these strengths, it would have been a lot easier, or I had to hire this person because this helped me out?
Absolutely. Being with people instead of behind the computer isolated, I think is something that I focused on, especially in the beginning, very intensely. In the fashion world, with blogging and Instagram and the whole social media component, it can be easy to stay behind the computer and make pretty outfits digitally. But when and if you really want to have clients, and I think this is like across the board, across all industries, getting outside of your comfort zone and learning to network in a way that is authentic to you and really building great relationships that you can get energized from and ask for support from is key. So I started collecting business cards of people who inspired me and people I would want to reach out to someday, very early on in my career, and 20 years ago. And some of those same people are people I still consider part of my network today, who have introduced me to wonderful other people. And it's just built from there. I think that's the most important thing. And I think a common misconception is, well, we get a lot of messaging that says, do what you love and the rest will align perfectly. And I don't remember where I read this, but I saw a quote that said, find a way to love what you do, and that will help things align perfectly, because, whatever we love will certainly have sides to it that aren't fun. Like Like for me, it's like bookkeeping, or it's like updating the website. There are these tasks that, since I started, am now able to hire out a bit for. But, there are these tasks in the beginning, especially, that you have to do, and they're not fun. But putting ourselves into the, learning why it's important to do bookkeeping and update websites comes from, I think, doing a little bit of it. And that's how you get to understand, all aspects to the business.
Thank you for sharing that. I think number one, with regards to the sincere connections that you've made and you've fostered, you continue to build, and then that word of mouth is clearly spread because they sense sincerity in you. And then, just as you just said, to understand that there's things we just have to do and we learn as we go. And then when we're able, financially able or otherwise, we can then say, okay, I can now give this to someone else. But to know that you're sincerely passionate about it, that is an underlying factor. Thank you for sharing. I think find something you love and figure out a way to do it. That's a good advice because that's your fuel, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the love and the passion. And for me, it's really about my clients. Like when I wake up in the morning and I think about who I get to work with that day, that excites me genuinely. And so for me,
Well, that comes across Instagram. I mean, in the individuals that you shared that as I've been following you these last few months, you can see it. I mean, you can hear it in the way you've expressed yourself just in your commentary. And it comes across just in that medium. I can't imagine what it's like in person.
people people say it's really hard for me to lie, which is true, because often, like in the dressing rooms and things, I'll they'll like a client will walk out and I'll be like, "Ooh, yeah, I see that. That works. That has a function for you in your life." And then other times they'll walk out and I'll be like, "Oh my God," and I'll scream and I'll just be so loud. And I'm sure everybody looks at me funny, but they see my eyes light up, and that helps their eyes light up and see themselves in a new and interesting way. And yeah, I think that is what propels me. And also just like connecting, often women, with designers or shops or makers who help them have a more positive experience of shopping and selecting and considering, just gives energy to the item that they're acquiring. And it makes the sometimes awful task of shopping so much more enjoyable and fun.
That's so true. It's a process, and it's part of the reason I think people don't either want to go shopping or they don't trust that will go shopping and find what they truly look good in because they don't trust the process or know how to find those people as you just talked about. I think you're right. That's part of the process too, is knowing where to go and who to connect with and how to engage. So thank you for just briefly mentioning that. We'll get into that a little bit later. Okay, let's talk style because you've been very humble about this, but you have styled Cheryl Strayed of Wild fame, Tina Forbes of Pink Martini. She came here once. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. And Esperanza Spalding, just to name a few of the well-known people that you style. But you also work with other clients who either want an everyday uniform that they feel good in or have a special occasion they want to look their best for. Could you share with listeners what the most important fundamentals, one or two, that are what they ensure that they will have a successful styling session, um, with regards to what they come knowing about themselves to share with you so that it goes as successful as possible with regards to what they come up with and you have bring to them and it works well?
Well, I work with rising stars, people who are finally coming into their identity, putting energy into triumphing over big life challenges. And they're usually rapidly moving up in their careers. So these are people that need style to match their evolution, but they often don't know how to get there. So they're like authors and artists and entrepreneurs who are very capable, but they're juggling work, family, and like self-care and travel. And so they're looking for a style to match their story, but they're not able to pull it together for whatever reason because they've got so much on their plate. And so for me, as their stylist, it's very important that they share their story with me. And so the story can include things like important engagements that they have coming up, what they wear the most in their current wardrobe, colors that they like, photo shoots they have, those kinds of things. But it also includes like body image stuff. What do they feel most? When do they feel the most empowered in something that they're wearing? What parts of their body do they like to accentuate and what parts do they not? What was their history as far as like spending money growing up as a kid and in their family scenario? All of that gives me really great information to make the process of styling them successful.
That's just all of the, and so it's not just about the clothes. And I think this is what's so, if anyone's new to just the power of clothing, there's so much more to it. Like you just said, they're bringing their history with money. They're bringing their confidence as far as the moments that they felt their best in. What were they doing? Things like that. And what do they love when they wear certain things? So what do they not want to? I think all of that's. Thank you for sharing the well-rounded part of what this whole concept of clothing is. It's more than just it's more than just the clothes. It's so much more. It communicates so much more about everything that's going on in our lives.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Mm-hmm.
It does. And with regards to you spoke about how you're styling them to match their evolution, and I love that phrase. So they're evolving. We're all evolving. How does someone go about starting to understand what that signature style is or is looking to become? How do you work with clients with regards to that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I always start, if I can, in their closet. So if they're a Portland client, I will be physically in their closet. If they're a client elsewhere, then it's usually a virtual consultation and experience. But I like to see, one of the questions I ask, for example, is what was your biggest extravagance in your wardrobe? So some people might show me like a pair of Fry boots. Other people might show me a floor length gown from a high-end designer. And there's usually a story attached to why those pieces were the biggest extravagance. Often it has to do with an important trip or a very significant transition in their lives.
No, I like that significant transition in their lives. That makes so much sense. I never would have thought about that. But they're either wearing or that they wore during it. What do you find that one to be? Is that what it is when they're doing the transition, or what does that one actually look like in your clients? I'm curious. That has caught my ear.
You know, it often represents a past life somehow that, we're trying to hold on to for some reason. For example, I had a woman who, she in her 20s was living in San Francisco and she had a very kind of intense sales job and she was making lots of money and she was staying out all night and she was having so much fun, spending her money on clothes and parties and travel and everything. And then, she settled down and she got married and she had kids and her body changed and her work changed. And she was holding on. There was some massive real estate taken up by bohemian dresses in her closet. And they all represented this time in her life that she was really kind of missing. And what we did was put her favorite dress from this time in her life in a shadow box and hung it in her closet. And the rest we were able to let go of. And now she dresses in a very minimalist fashion. She wears only black and white. She has very short hair and bright red lips, and she loves it. But she would have never gotten to that point without letting go of those things that were her past life.
Wow. So you do so much more than just say that top looks great with those that skirt. That's
Yeah.
the relationship you build with your clients. You're really listening and tuning into what they're sharing with you. Now, we're going to take a quick break to introduce you to a few sponsors of today's episodes. But as you can see, Scarlet Chamberlin does so much more than just style clothing. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how you too can hire her and what her services entail, as well as talk about her trip to Paris and designers that she loves and recommends. So stay tuned. Drops delivers powerful, eco-friendly cleaning products direct to your door. From laundry detergent pods to dishwasher detergent pods, they've got you covered. By selling directly to you, they avoid the middleman and offer their products for the fraction of the price offered by their competitors. Use less, save more. That's the convenience of Drops. You can subscribe and save an extra 20% with an automatic Drops wash plans. No membership fees or gotchas. You can skip, delay, or modify your order at any time. The best part? Free shipping on all orders. Now, Drops is EPA Safer Choice Partner of the Year. They were awarded this in 2017 for outstanding achievement in formulation and product manufacturing of both consumer and institutional industrial products. Drops are manufactured in the United States, and they're proud to offer effective green cleaning products that are manufactured right here in our own backyard. They believe in supporting local jobs, communities, small businesses, and fair wages. Now, I have had the opportunity to use Drops detergent pods as well as their extra large wool dryer balls. And I want to speak about the wool dryer balls. Instead of actually using traditional dryer sheets, these save time, energy, and money with their handmade, all natural, 100% premium New Zealand wool dryer balls. They come in 3 different colors, black, white, and gray, for all the different colors that we dry, and they work wonderfully, and they're reusable. You can use them up to 100 times. Now, as a Simple Sophisticate listener, visit drops.com/simple30. That's drops.com/simple30 and enter simple30 to get an extra 30% off your first order of convenient, plastic-free, eco-friendly cleaning. Every drop counts. Again, that's drops.com/simple30, and don't forget to use the promo code simple30. Every drop counts. The world's best designers know the secret to create an unforgettable space is Sora lighting. Sora Radiant LED is uniquely designed with full spectrum technology so you can see every color as nature intended. The same vibrant light found in many of the world's great spaces can now light your home. Improving your space doesn't have to be a big home improvement project. It's as easy as changing a light bulb. Most LED bulbs have color gaps and leave your space looking washed out and artificial. Sora Radiant is the only LED designed with full spectrum color technology to eliminate those color gaps. It makes colors and skin tones look vibrant and real, the same as in natural sunlight. So ditch your old bulbs and make your space look its best and most natural with Sora Radiant. Now, I've had the opportunity to use these lights, and I can attest, as someone who wants to create that natural warmth in my own home, Sora Lighting does just that. Now, as a Simple Sophisticate listener, for 15% off your purchase over $50, visit Sora.com/sophisticate. That's Sora, SORAA.com/sophisticate, and enter promo code sophisticate at checkout for 15% off your purchase of $50 or more. Again, visit Sora.com/sophisticate and use the promo code sophisticate at checkout. As we know, in our modern world, our lives are full. And when it comes to creating a welcoming sanctuary, we want something that works with us. But we don't always have the time to peruse all the different websites that are available. All Modern is an online-only destination for everything modern and is priced for real life. They offer modern styles from mid-century and Scandinavian to minimalist. It's simple to shop. Browse at home or on the go. Simply find what you need and get it quick. They have fast and free shipping on all furniture, and in-room delivery and assembly is available. All Modern, the style you love, the prices you want, when you want it. It's that simple. I would like to share with you my experience with All Modern. I have 2 pieces in my home from them. I've recently purchased a clock for my new office that I've spoken about recently here on the blog in last week's Wednesday's post. And it was something that caught my eye. It was simple, but it was also made of wood, and it worked in my space. It had texture, and the price was something I could absolutely afford. Now, within a matter of days, it had arrived at my door, and I was completely happy with it. I also recently have been redoing my guest bedroom, and I needed a mattress. Guess where I found the mattress at? Yep, all modern at a very fair price, and it was easily shipped to my door, all packaged up. It came in a very simple box. All I had to do was cut, snip, dip, and in about 48 hours, that mattress was exactly as I had hoped. Now, as a Simple Sophisticate listener, you have the opportunity to receive 10% off your first order at allmodern.com by simply using the promo code SIMPLE. That's promo code SIMPLE, 10% off your first purchase. If you're already on your phone, go ahead and check out the website. You could find your next sofa before the end of this podcast. And now, here is the second half of my interview with Scarlet Chamberlin. I know that there's some listeners out there, if not more than just a few, that are curious as to how to hire you. And we'll have all sorts of questions after this question, I promised listeners. But there are 3 different services you provide. And I know that you're located on the West Coast. And you mentioned that if you're in Portland, you'll be in their closet with them. Mm-hmm. But I want listeners to know that you also work with clients online, as you mentioned, virtually. You offer a closet overhaul. You offer a style social, which sounds, I was reading up on that. That just looks like a great evening and investment to spend with friends and also become savvy of what's going on in the style world. And then you also offer, and this is the one that most clients I would assume hire you for, sort, shop, and style. What can a new client expect when they hire you regarding what they need to do to prep and be ready for you to come help them? How long does this process take? And what do they receive at the end of the styling journey with you for the sort, shop, and style service?
Mm-hmm. In the intake process, I ask a bunch of questions and they answer those by filling out a form. And then they also receive instructions on how to prepare for our first meeting. And so they're pretty basic. Mostly it's like I need the client to gather everything, whether it's clean or dirty, and I want to see it all. And so this first appointment, the sort, usually takes about 2.5 hours, and we review everything in their closet from, pants and dresses to jewelry, outerwear, and accessories. And we pick the best of the best. We decide what needs to get altered. We create a short shopping list, while we're there. And I try to style them in at least 5 outfits that are new to them using what they already own so that they can start practicing wearing these new combinations and see how it feels. That usually leads people to the realization that, oh my gosh, I have so much in here I didn't realize I had because I was kind of stuck wearing things in only one way. So that's the first appointment. And I like to have them line up their shoes so they're easy to see. I mean, I have had times where, the client didn't do their homework and I had to get down on my hands and knees and dig myself through piles of shoes into the interiors of dusty cedar closets to pull everything out because I can't leave without seeing everything. That's really important to me. So,
and probably those things they don't want you to see are the ones you need to see, so you can really understand why do they not want you to see those things, and what is that part of their story? Or I would imagine that'd be part of their story.
Oh my gosh, I have heard from so many clients along the way that first appointment, I left my clogs in the car because I didn't want you to see them. Or they've just Uggs. People hide Uggs from me all the time. But it usually comes out later.
So you have multiple appointments with your clients through this process. And I'm going to assume it works around their schedule because I imagine you have a lot of different careers that you're working with and schedules that you're working with. How many different appointments do you have with this one particular new client session for the shop style? Excuse me, the
sort shop style.
Yes, short shop. All right, yes, that's great. I love that.
The triple S.
Yeah.
So we have 3 appointments, and the shop is usually the longest appointment. It lasts for about 3 to 4 hours, and I create a shopping itinerary for us and pre-pull things and talk to the boutique owners and designers so that our shopping trip is very smooth. And then The third appointment is back in their home usually, or it can be in my studio at that point. And we blend the old and the new together and we create a lookbook, and they have a style guide. And we also have a virtual headquarters for us to build on the foundation we've built through the Sort, Shop, and Style moving forward. So we can do smaller event-based styling sessions, even virtually, with great ease. I can pack them for trips using what they own and maybe adding in a couple key pieces they need to order. It's just a great way for us to stay connected moving forward.
Oh, yeah. Because I know you probably have tons of returning clients. What does that typically look like? So, say you've done the first new client thing for an individual, they come back to you. What does that look like as far as, is it usually just an event, or is it usually up to, this is a new season, I want to know what's going on? What does that typically look like for a returning client?
It's often a seasonal update. Maybe we had a few things left on their wish list from the last time we worked together. And so it's buying, maybe investing in those things, and then getting a few pieces that are seasonally specific. We'll do that either in person shopping locally or online. And by the time we've worked together more intensively twice, that gets us through like a whole year of wardrobe, 4 seasons worth of wardrobe. And at that point, people will return to work with me in the form of a jam session, which is kind of like a quarterly haircut.
Yeah, explain what a jam session is. I saw that on your website. That looked like a lot of fun, but very informative as well.
It's really fun. So I tell people to think of it like a quarterly haircut and color. So you get it on your books, you know what's happening, and it's maintenance and it's keeping the momentum going. So what I was seeing happening was people would fall back into their ruts. And so I wanted to create an easy way for us to keep the momentum moving forward. So they come with maybe a couple of pieces that they've purchased on their own without me. And we have our online inventory of their closet. And then I have pre-pulled items that I think they may be interested in. And we do a jam session. We jam it out. We talk about, okay, these are the events you have coming up. These are the things you need to purchase. Here are all the ways you're going to mix and match those with the things you already own. And I answer any questions like, oh, I remember I needed to get that one thing altered. Where do I go? And, things like that. That's where I can kind of translate all of the trends and break them down to the ones they may or may not be interested in, so they don't get overwhelmed with, reading about all that hoo-ha. Yeah. And just have a selection dialed in just for them.
Well, that makes so much. You're so right about and I was just going to ask you a question about the upcoming spring season. But there's so much to filter through, and if we don't know what we're looking for, it can become very overwhelming. But with the help of someone like you, or if someone who maybe doesn't have the budget to hire someone like you knows how to get through that and understands their true style, it makes it so much easier, because it really is clear as far as, okay, I can enjoy that from a distance, but I'm never going to buy something like that. That's not a trend that's part of who I am or what I do now.
Having that strategic shopping list is so powerful. And I know you talk about that on your blog. It's like knowing what you need and waiting for the right time to purchase that item, and make sure that it's something that you love. You're not doing it just to check it off the list, but something that you are really excited about. And I feel like just having that list kind of on your phone or on a sticky note on your computer, easily accessible, so that when you go into a store or you happen to be shopping online or a friend tells you about something cool, you can just kind of go back to that list and be like, do I need that? No. Or yes, now is a great time to do this and make this purchase. And I find that people spend far less money and time on shopping when they're shopping this way. And of course, if they've worked with me, they know, like, they have some guidelines. What shapes look really great on their body type, what types of textures or colors or patterns, where to invest.
All such valuable information. And that is, it is about investing. And that, so if I'm hearing you correctly, so whether the client is with you in person or not, you are going to do some shopping in Portland, and you're also going to do some online shopping and let them just keep those items in mind when they can afford them or if they're interested. Is that how that works?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's wonderful. Now, what do you advise with regards to, and this is just, this popped into my head, so it's not even on my list, but what do you advise to clients when, okay, there's items on the list, they really want this item, but it may not be in their budget, but you know that it might be later on. What is your advice to them as far as waiting? How, if it's some, is there a level of, okay, uber interested, get it now, you won't regret it, or kind of interested, or really love it, but really can't afford? How do you advise for that?
Well, we like to come up with an approximate yearly budget for clothing and allocate accordingly. So, for example, if the perfect leather jacket is on their list and we didn't get it the first round because, they were investing in a lot of pieces and the leather jacket needed to get moved, and that piece comes around and it's perfect and it's a great price, then I would probably say, like, find a way to get this leather jacket, because if you fall in love with one, that's a great sign. But if it's, a very kind of colorful, impractical dress or pair of shoes that are too high, I'll chime in and be like, hey, I get why you like this, but this isn't the right place to put your dollars right now. You have other priorities.
So you're a coach too along the way. I think that's helpful too. Gosh.
I did develop another service for established clients called Scarlet in my pocket.
Oh,
It's Simp
yeah.
for short. So some people don't ever shop without me at this point, and then others still, they love to shop, but they like to have me in their pocket. So I'm available through text or Marco Polo, and we can just kind of quickly make that decision so they can move on with their lives, either buying or not buying that item that they're seeing while they're out shopping.
Okay. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the upcoming spring collections. We know that fall and winter, spring runway shows are coming up in February, but that also means that spring collections are going to be hitting the shops. What are you excited to see, and what would you recommend shoppers look for and invest in this upcoming season?
I would recommend that people look at their color palette, and say you have a 5 to 7 color palette in your closet. I would invest in some texture this season in one of those great neutrals or pops of color that you tend to wear. So texture can be in the form of visual texture, like pattern. And if you're investing in pattern, I suggest you do either a tonal pattern or pattern that has black in it, or white, whichever one of your neutrals you wear the most is. That way it will be easy to pair with things you already own. And then texture can also be in the form of physical, touch and feel kind of texture. And there are quite a bit of silks, synthetic, fuzzy pieces. You saw a lot of velvet during the holidays, but now it's going to be more like lightweight fleeces and flashy kind of trimmings and things. The minimalism has been such a trend for so long, and we love it. But there's more like kind of flash and pizzazz. So I say, get that texture that can be really fun and interesting in one of your colors in your color palette to mix in and kind of bring the other pieces that you love and wear all the time to life. There's some hardware, again, hardware always comes back during the spring.
Just when you say hardware, just for those of us, and I sometimes I need to be refreshed. What do you mean hardware?
I mean, like rivets and spikes and small kind of disc-like shapes. I saw a lot of those kind of sequin-like pieces and things in metallics. It was copper and rose toned for a while, and I feel like it's maybe leaning back towards silver again. So We shall see. That's just my prediction.
Like you mentioned before, you like to connect the shopper with, or your clients with, boutique owners or designers. I am curious to pick your brain. I have two questions with regards to designers. The first one is, what is a tried and true designer or a handful that you recommend that are well established and worth investing in?
I'm always on the hunt for that mid-priced designer where quality is really important, but you're not paying for the brand name. And so some that I refer to on a regular basis locally are, let's see, Fraser and Wing. She makes beautiful cotton dresses that are just easy to wear and easy to pack. I recommend Meg, which is out of New York City, on a regular basis because their pieces are comfortable and work for the modern woman who is traveling and finding herself, in all sorts of situations associated with her career or personal life where she needs to be able to dress up or dress down her core pieces. I recommend a few handbag designers since I know that's a place where people tend to put a little bit more of their dollars comfortably in an accessory than in a day-to-day clothing item sometimes. So I recommend Sarah Barner out of Portland. She makes beautiful handbags that last a lifetime. Also, TAH bags, TAH. They're great, really beautiful, very Yves Saint Laurent, but not the price tag. And jewelry wise, I recommend Demimonde here in Portland if you're looking for kind of that bold earring. I love Maria Black's Second Skin jewelry. And then depending on how kind of much of an investment you want to make, I will connect people with different jewelry designers to do things that are custom using the gemstones that they love, and metal maybe that they've held on to from their family heirlooms, and, go from there. It really depends on my client's budget and lifestyle and body type, what brands I recommend. But as far as like the day-to-day stuff, I really love checking out Heist down in LA, their website. I love how they pair really unique, interesting silhouettes and textures together. They do a great job, and they represent some of the really fabulous independent designers that I find inspiring myself to wear.
Oh, thank you for sharing all of those. I know those are probably going to be new names to a lot of listeners, and then most of them are new to me, and I'm from Oregon, so I didn't get on it. So thank you. They sound.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, and I know that you're also someone who travels to France. I think you were there this summer. Is that correct?
It was my first time in Paris.
Oh my goodness. I thought that I saw that, and I wanted to ask you something. We can just talk forever about France, but you made an interesting quote about what you observed in Parisian style and what you loved about it. And you said on one of your Instagram quotes, quote, what I love most about Parisian style is that their clothes and homes look lived in and loved. It's not about buying the new it thing. It's about using what you've thoughtfully selected or inherited over the years in new and exciting ways. In my experience, personally, I find it that first it's about understanding how to do this, and the second part is that it takes time to get these items into your life and know what to do with them. So, what is your advice regarding how to attain effortless style that the French really seem to just know how to do?
Gosh, it's so much about an attitude and really making those considered choices that are part educated, like, hey, I know I need a great blazer, for example. And then B, having the confidence that the one you select will be amazing so that you don't second guess it and you wear it to the ground, and you put pins in it and you roll up the sleeves and you smash it in your travel bag sometimes. And you lend it to a girlfriend. It gets her scent on it. You wear it, you get it dirty, and you love it to the bones, and so I think that attitude of like, yes, I know I needed this and I chose this one. I'm going to wear it all the time is just Parisian to me. It's that attitude that I love. And that kind of comes across in so many different aspects of life when observing them, it seems.
That's a good point. It's almost as if they say, I didn't ask for your opinion. I'm wearing this. Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that because that's a good way of describing it. I never thought about exactly what you said, but that's exactly what it is. It's I love it, and it's the confidence in that they're using to wear it. What did you most enjoy about your trip to France and Paris this summer?
Oh my gosh! Well, we stayed in the Marais district, and we had the sweetest apartment, and it had a tiny little balcony. And this neighborhood was so lovely in the sense that it seemed like most of the people walking down our street actually lived in Paris. And so I would sit there and watch people of all ages and all types of backgrounds walking up and down that street, laughing with their friends. I would just sit there and watch these people walk by. And I was just like, I am in heaven right now. I am just in heaven. And, there were so many great little shops in that neighborhood that we explored that, were just like shops here in town that I would be interested in. They're like designer owned little shops that have very interesting, eclectic things. And most often, were made with intention and quality in mind. And yeah, I've revisited several of the little stores on our street throughout the week that we were there. And it was like I was making friends with my tribe, in Paris, which felt great.
Oh, bet. I didn't even think about that. Are you going to be making connections with Parisian designers and things like that to bring into your collections? Or are you already doing that with regards to your clients and introducing them to these brands?
I have introduced some of my clients to the brands that I got to, see and touch and feel in person there. If they have a website that ships to the US, I would like to bring things back the next time I go from some of these smaller, especially accessories designers that I discovered along the way, that, things that are different than anything we can find here. Because they're small, I feel like I could easily carry them in my suitcase and showcase them nicely in my studio.
Yeah. Oh, good idea. And all the more reason to keep traveling back and forth every once in a while on a regular basis.
Exactly. I don't know if you saw my little video of all my stills that I captured of fashionable people there. That definitely lives on YouTube, and I can send it to you to include. But I loved that, a lot of the women I was seeing there that I was inspired by were wearing things that, Portland gals are wearing, but just in a slightly more sophisticated way. And I loved the men, especially, like what they were wearing, and just being kind of adventurous with what they're wearing, in a way that I don't see so often here.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the men's fashion over there. And even out in the country, I was impressed that the men owned what they wore. And it was that quiet confidence again, but they cared about it. You could tell, and they were confident about it. Yeah. It was something that mattered, I guess is the point. It was something that mattered. Just like as much as the food, clothing and style does matter too.
Yes. That ritual of getting dressed.
Yeah. Exactly. As a guest, you get to do the honors. Each episode, I have a petit plaisir that is shared at the end, and it's an example of something that makes the everyday all the more enjoyable. So, as the guest, you have those honors. What is a petit plaisir or a simple luxury you enjoy to elevate your everydays?
In the morning, we just bought a king size bed, which is a game changer. I am 6 feet tall, and my husband is 6 feet tall, and then our dog seems like he's 6 feet tall. Often.
I saw your description of him, Gunner, the oversized Labra. What was it?
Golden Doodle.
Yeah.
Yes. So I never thought I never thought I would let my dog into my bed, but he's such an oversized stuffed animal teddy bear that he's crept in and is now kind of often at about 6 a.m. snuggling with us. So the king size bed is a game changer, and I decided to splurge and get all new sheets and a duvet and even some extra pillows so that our bed feels like we're in this like luxury hotel cloud-like bed. And so in the morning, I shake out the duvet and I make the bed. And in the evening, before we get to bed, I turn on our bedside table lamps and I spritz the bed with like this lovely kind of lavender sandalwood spritz that a friend of mine gave to me. And I do my like face cleaning ritual. And then when it's time for bed, it feels like the stage has been set. It's meant to be a sensual and sacred space of rest away from distraction at that point. And I just love it. It's been the best.
That sounds truly inviting, and what a place to begin that rest throughout the evening. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that. I think you're going to speak to a lot of listeners with some ideas there.
Oh, good.
Scarlet, I want to thank you for joining me today and reminding us all that dressing well is not only an investment in ourselves but it's also something that when we do it well can actually save us money and ensure we feel good while we evolve into the person we want and truly can be.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun to talk with you.
It really has been. I will include, listeners, a link to Scarlet's website, scarletchamberlin.com, so you can reach out to her for an appointment or simply learn more about what her services are as a stylist. And I will also link to many more details on today's show notes that we've discussed and put that video up. It truly was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. For more ideas and inspiration throughout the week, visit the blog, thesimplyluxuriouslife.com, or pick up my new book, Living the Simply Luxurious Life, Making Your Everydays Extraordinary and Discovering Your Best Self. You can also pick up my first book, Choosing the Simply Luxurious Life, A Modern Woman's Guide, which is available now in paperback, ebook, and audio versions on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes, or wherever books are sold. To stay caught up on the most recent episodes of the podcast, blog posts, my new cooking show, and receive exclusive news as well as an extra dose of inspiration to jumpstart your weekend, subscribe to the Simply Luxurious Life's weekly newsletter, which arrives in your inbox each Friday to enjoy with a hot cup of tea or a morning cup of coffee. Until next Monday, I'm your host, Shannon Ables. Bonne journée!